Hey guys, and welcome to today's daily yoga flow. To begin, we're going to start off in a tabletop position with our hands below our shoulders and our knees below our hips. And then we're just going to go through some rotations, moving our whole bodies over our wrists, going in one direction before changing over and moving in the opposite direction. Making some nice big circles around our wrists. And then coming back, to center, we're gonna go through some figure of 8 motions around our wrists just to get some blood flowing and get our wrists nice and warm. After that, you can do some other free movements. Maybe keep going there, maybe moving your whole bodies back and forth. Really just getting the whole body moving, getting blood flowing to do whatever you need to get your body nice and ready. And when you're ready, you can meet me in a tabletop position. And from here, we're just going to go through some rounds of cat-cow. So lifting our heads, dipping our bellies down, we'll arch our backs up as we inhale, and as we exhale, rounding our backs out. Dropping our bellies for an inhale, and then rounding our back for an exhale. Going to 2 more at your own pace. And the last one, you can meet me back in center. And then straightening out your right leg and lifting it up as high as you can, raising your left hand up, pointing out in front of you. We're going to take a deep inhale, and as we exhale, we're going to bring our elbow to our knee, crunching it out, and then holding it for a second before expanding back out. Inhale to expand, exhale to crunch, and then hold. Going through 2 more. Inhale to expand, and crunch to hold. Last one. And finally bring your hand and knee back, moving on to the other side, straightening out your left leg, raising your right hand, taking a deep inhale, and as you exhale, bring elbow to knee, holding it there for a second, and then inhale to expand. Going through 2 more at your own pace. And on your last one, bring back into tabletop. Stepping off both your feet out into a high plank. We're then going to lift our bums up, pushing back into our first downward facing dog. And from there, maybe you just might want to walk your dog out, bending one leg at a time, focusing on keeping a nice loose head, back straight as you can. And then meeting that stillness, we're going to lift our right leg, bending it, and stacking our right hip over our left for a split dog, maybe making our knee the highest point that we can. And then finally, bringing our right knee over, placing our right foot next to our right pinky finger for a lizard stretch. Holding here for a breath. And then maybe here, you can maybe do a little bit of an extra stretch, pushing your right knee out, holding over your pinky toe, and really just try and push and open the hips up and feel the nice stretch. Holding for 2 full breaths. Or finally placing both hands back on the mat, kicking back into a high plank and pushing back into your downward facing dog. Moving on to the other side, lifting your left leg up, bending the knee and pushing your left hip above your right, maybe making some nice circle motions with your knee before finally bringing it over, placing your left foot next to your left hand, holding full breath, and then maybe rolling your foot or knee over your left foot and just open up the hips. Placing both hands back down and meeting me back in a tabletop, in a plank, and then pushing back into your downward facing dog as we prepare for our flow. Starting off with your right foot, lifting it up as high as you can, keeping the leg straight this time. Then as we exhale, we're going to bend our knee, bringing our knee to our chest for placing our foot between our hands, keeping our back knee up. We're going to slowly just lift our bodies up. And when we have the balance, raising our hands up high for a high crescent lunge. Holding full breath, making sure our knee is above our ankle and our back heel is lifted up, toes pointing forward. Then on your exhale, bring your hands down to frame your front foot, kicking back into a high plank. And from here, we're going to go through a vinyasa flow. So to start, as we exhale, we're going to lower our knees down to the mat. And then from there, lowering our chest and our chin, so it comes down at the same time. Taking a deep inhale, we're going to push our bodies up, lifting our chest for a cobra. And then as we exhale, lifting our hips, pushing back into downward facing dog. Moving on to the other side, left leg going up as we inhale. Exhale, bring our knee to our chest and placing our foot between the hands. Lifting up for high crescent lunge. Really engaging your core, looking straight ahead of you as we try and keep our balance. Holding full breath. Before finally bringing our hands back down, kicking back into a plank. And for this vinyasa, maybe you can look for an extra challenge, keeping your legs straight as you lower your whole body down. Untucking your toes as you push up, or maybe a cobra or even an up dog. And then as you exhale, push back into downward facing dog. Lifting right leg going up. Exhale to place foot between the hands. Pushing up for high crescent lunge. And then we're going to open up, dropping our back heel down, opening our arms for warrior two, making sure our heels are in line with our toes pointing 90-degree angle. Focusing on your breath. And then as we exhale, windmilling our arms back down, we put back into a plank. Exhale to lower our bodies. Inhale for your back bend of choice. And exhale to downward facing dog. Left leg going up. So inhale. Exhale, foot between the hands. Lift, inhale for lift for high crescent lunge. And then exhale to open up to warrior two. Really trying to focus on getting your hands nice and aligned. And as you exhale, framing your front foot, high plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale to bend. And exhale to push back. Moving on, right leg going up for three-legged dog. Exhale to place foot between the hands. Inhale to lift for high crescent lunge. Exhale to open up for warrior two. From here, we're going to place our hands behind our backs, clasping them together, bending our back slightly as we pull our shoulders back, letting our head hang for a second. And then bringing our whole chest forward and down for a humble warrior. Maybe trying to push your hands as far forward as they can to hold for breath. Before finally releasing our hands, placing them down onto the mat, kicking to a high plank. Exhale to lower once more. Inhale for cobra or up dog. And exhale for downward facing dog. Moving on to the left side, left leg going up as we inhale. Exhale to place foot down. Inhale to lift. Exhale to open up for warrior two. Placing our hands behind our back, clasping together. Rolling our shoulders back, letting our head hang for a second before folding forward for a humble warrior. Nice exhale, coming down to a plank, and then lowering down, coming back up, and then pushing back into your downward dog. Moving on to the last part of the flow, right leg going up, placing the foot between the hands, pushing up, opening out for warrior two, hands behind the back for a quick back bend as we humble our warrior. Then down here, we're going to release our hands, placing our left hand next to our right foot, twisting our bodies to face straight and raising our right hand up for an easy twist. Bringing our hand back down, kicking back into a plank, and going through our last vinyasa for the side. Going through our last round, left leg going up, and foot between the hands, lifting our bodies up, keeping everything nice and controlled. Open up to warrior two, and behind our back for bend, and then down to humble our warrior. And finally bring our right hand down next to our left foot, and raising our left hand up. Bringing our left hand down, kicking back into a plank, and then for the very last time, lowering down as we exhale. Inhale to push up, and exhale to push back into downward facing dog. Great stuff. Now we're just going to slowly walk our feet towards the top of the mat. And when we reach there, we're just going to straighten our legs slightly. Just let our whole body hang for a nice forward fold. Maybe grasping the elbows for a ragdoll. And we just shake our body from side to side. Finally, meet back in stillness, releasing our hands. And go to a halfway lift, placing our hands on our shins, lifting our back, upper body up so we get a nice flat back. Holding for a breath. And then as we exhale, forward fold. Maybe grasping the back of your legs and trying to pull your chest as close to your legs as possible. And then finally release. Moving onto a chair, you can either keep your feet separate at hip distance apart, or if you want a little bit of an easier pose, bring your feet together, slowly lowering your hips down, and then throwing your hands up for a chair pose. Bringing your hands down to heart center. And then we're going to twist to our left, bring our right elbow to our left knee. placing it next to there for a chair twist. And maybe even open up our hands, bring our right hand to our left foot and our left hand up. Holding for a breath. Before bringing our hands back down and going to a forward fold. Moving on to the other side. Once more, lowering our hips, raising our hands up, bringing hands to heart center, and I'll turn into our right, left elbow and right knee, and then raising, maybe opening up our hands as we hold, before finally bringing our hands back together, back to center and forward fold. Taking a break and a breather as we take a nice deep breath through the nose and sigh it out through the mouth. Moving on, we're just going to slowly start standing up straight, keeping our chin tucked as we straighten our body one vertebra at a time before finally coming up to a full standing pose. Head coming up last, palms facing forward for tree pose. Just taking some nice deep breaths as we'll feel our feet rooted to the ground. Then when you're ready, you can place your hands together at heart center. Starting with our right foot, so we're going to move on to a tree pose. Placing our foot with our toes on the mat and our heels on our ankle. If you maybe want up for a challenge for a better balance, you can try and lift your weight up higher. Bring your heels close to your knees. Or if you want, you can even lift as high as you can, placing your left toes just above your right kneecap. Having a single spot in front of you to help you with your balance. So we hold for a breath before finally releasing our foot and moving on to the other side. Keeping our left foot grounded now, placing our right toes and right ankle on the base of our feet, maybe coming up slightly higher with our right ankle, our right heel above our left knee, or maybe even going up as high as we can with our right toes just above our left knee. Focusing on our breath, maybe keeping a slight bend in your grounded leg to help with the balance. So hold for a breath before finally releasing our legs and letting our hands come down to our sides. Finally, begin to slowly lower our whole bodies down with our feet hip distance apart for a nice Malasana yogi squat. Placing our hands on our elbows on our knees and really just try and push and open up with your hips. Just holding for a breath. Maybe using a block for an extra support if you need it. Then kicking our left foot out, far back. We're going to do it a side lunge. Trying to focus on bringing our right heel as close to the mat as possible and see if we can even float our hands off and hold the balance. Holding for a breath. Before slowly moving on to the other side, placing your left foot down and moving over, lifting your right toes pointing up, nice and flexed. And once more, see if you can balance. If not, you can place your hands down on the floor if needed. And your last breath, coming forward, placing your front foot up at the top of the mat, with your back feet back, almost similar to a lizard stretch. We're then going to twist our bodies to the left, laying our whole right foot down, lifting our arm, swinging it over as we try and swing our left arm to point to the back and looking back for a horizon lunge. Holding for breath before bringing our left hand back and swapping over to the other side. Bringing our right foot back, right foot to the front, lifting our arms up, twisting our upper bodies, bringing our left heel down to the mat as we point back and feel nice stretching the hips. Finally turning back and moving on to our back sides. Laying down on the mat, you can bring one knee in, then bring the other as we just maybe rock from side to side, feeling a nice little spinal massage before finally laying our hands down to the sides and then swinging our feet and our knees down to the right and maybe even twisting our heads to look to the left for belly spinal twist. Slowly turning our head to look up straight, lifting our legs up and moving on to the other side, twisting our lower body to the left, and turning our heads to look to the right. Turning our heads to face back forward, lifting our legs back up to center, moving on to the last pose of the practice, keeping our legs bent, then move on to a bridge pose, making sure our feet are nice and grounded. And then we're just going to slowly start lifting our hips, all of our lower back, and then slowly going up one vertebra at a time on our spine. So all the weight goes onto our shoulders, keeping our chin nice and tucked into the chest. And from here, you can either hold it, making sure your knees are not as nice as close as possible. And maybe even grasp your hands below your back, and even possibly push up on your toes to get a nice deeper stretch. Really enjoying the feeling of having your heart above your head. We hold for 2 full breaths. And on your last exhale, slowly releasing your hands, lowering your back down through your spine, then your lower back, and finally your hips. And then laying your legs out straight in front of you as you prepare for Shavasana. Laying in whatever pose feels most comfortable, hands at your sides. Just take deep breaths, feeling our lungs expand and contract as we exhale. Then we're going to just gently bring our awareness back into our bodies. Maybe introducing some small movements by wiggling our fingers and our toes. We're bringing in some rotations with our feet and our hands. As we slowly start waking up our bodies again, we'll be shaking some arms and our legs, and even lifting our hands up above our heads, grasping our hands and getting a nice deep stretch like we're just waking up in the morning. And keeping your eyes either still closed or keeping a soft gaze, you can be back in a seated position, either on your bums or your shins, whichever is most comfortable for you. As we just take another few more breaths, as we thank ourselves for making time for ourselves. And finally bringing our hands up, lifting them together, and then bringing them down into heart center. As we all take one last breath in together, and then bowing as we sigh it out and close our practice. I really hope you guys enjoyed it and that you found something beneficial for it. If there's anything else you would like me to do or cover, please let me know. And hopefully I'll see you guys again soon on the yoga mat.